Hey boys and girls, welcome to another great week of distance learning. This week I'm having you all do the same project again. I kind of feel like that worked out nicely last week. So this week's project, we are going to focus on shadows. So I'm going to show you a couple ways that you can approach this project. You can approach shadows from the outside, or you can approach them from the inside too. Supply-wise, you're going to need a piece of paper, a pencil, and maybe something to color with. Or you could even do the project with sidewalk chalk on your sidewalk. So let's take a look at some ways that you can do this outside. Approach this project is to go outside and just kind of find a cool shadow around your yard. I got this bunch of tulips for Easter, and so I moved it down from the table because I needed a flat surface. And I set it up. I had to arrange and see which way the sun was going. And now I'm going to trace this bunch of tulips on my paper. Another way to attempt this project is you could bring an object outside and put it on your piece of paper. And I would start kind of early in the morning, like maybe 9 o'clock, and trace it, and then come back and trace it at like 10 or 10:30 and just see the different ways that the sun moves throughout the day with what you're tracing. So I'm kind of starting late. It's like 1:30. And this is where the sun is, but I'll come back in about an hour and see where it goes from here. Another way to approach this project is find an area in your yard where you can see some tree branches or other cool natural parts of your landscape, and you can trace that. Now, if you don't find something on the sidewalk, make sure to bring a book or something so you have a solid surface underneath. Also, I have to use a stick because my paper's starting to blow. Let's check out tracing this. Last way I'm going to show you that you can do a shadow project is with a flashlight. So this is a little more difficult. You might need someone to hold your flashlight. You might have to build an apparatus to make the flashlight work. But the kind of cool thing is you can actually change the way that the light source works. So you can kind of distort what your image looks like. I grabbed a Lego Olaf, and so let's see what we can do here when we change the light. So I'm going to take my flashlight. I'm putting it behind Olaf. So depending on where I put my flashlight, Olaf could be really small like that. I'm pulling the flashlight back, or as I move the flashlight forward, Olaf's head kind of gets really big and his body kind of stays smaller. I could come directly down and get kind of like a funny Olaf, or I could have just kind of a basic shadow. So if you want, you can play around with the flashlight. The only thing is you're gonna need someone to hold the flashlight if you are going to trace. I'm holding it now and I'm trying to trace, but it gets a little difficult because sometimes you get in the way. And then also I'm moving the flashlight. Oh, I lost it. There we go. Olaf's head, Olaf's little nose. Uh-oh. You might want to tape your paper down if you do this. Olaf's fingers, and voila. I have Olaf, which is kind of hard to, there we go. There's my shadow Olaf. Now, there are many ways that you can color. Let's take a look. So we've come to the point in the project where you could start adding color to your projects. Now, if you want to just trace shadows, that's totally fine. But if you want to fill in the shadows, go for it. Now, you could do it a traditional way. I took one of my girls' junk crayons and I broke it in half, and it's a black. I took the paper off. And so what I'm doing is I'm just kind of doing a rubbing in the area, so then it does kind of look shadowy. Now that looks pretty decent. If I wanted to take it a step further, I could come back with the part of the crayon that I didn't break, and I could kind of come back in and trace around the edges just to kind of give it a little more visual interest. Now, for some of you older grades, if you wanted, you could even shade a little bit too. Shading is just where you take things and make it go from light to dark or dark to light. So I have these dark edges. If I wanted, I could pick a spot and I could start going from dark to light. So I traced it so the outside is the darkest part. I could kind of come and start coloring a little bit darker and then a little bit lighter, and that's just giving it kind of like a shadowing. Now your background you could color in or you could just leave plain. That's up to you, but this is one of the first ways you could deal with your shadow painting or projects. Another way is if you did the bonus lesson, I took this tulip piece and I taped a piece of the bubble painting to the back of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to glue it onto another piece of paper. Let's check this out. So as you can see, it turned out pretty cool when I taped the bubble painting to the back of the flower shadow. The other bonus thing with that is I was able to take the flower shadow that I cut out and I was able to color that in and glue it to another piece of paper too. So none of these techniques are the right way. I'm just showing you different ways that you could do this project. The last thing is I had that really cool time-lapse shadow where every hour I checked to see where the shadow was. So this is what I had. I think I'm going to color that using markers. So let's check it out. You guys had fun doing the shadow project. Now you're probably like, whoa, wait, what about the Olaf? Well, I ended up tracing a couple different Olafs, just kind of played around with that light source, and the girls saw this and they wanted to color it. So I'm gonna let them color this tomorrow. They'll probably want to cut it out and play with these. Anyway, I hope you guys had fun with this lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, or you can put questions in the comment section of the YouTube video. Also, if you come up with some cool shadow projects, go ahead and email those to me too. Have a great week. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.